went to the planetarium for a field trip at my school, and we saw the star show. They had like a big bubble with a whole bunch of different stars, and we thought it was really cool, so we thought we wanted some in our theater room.
Scott approached us and said he was doing this cool thing, and luckily we'd already dealt with the stars downtown. It was beautiful, and we decided that that would be a great addition for that room.
Galaxy Murals is what we do is we paint replicas of the nighttime sky. We place them in the area where they, like when you look up and you see the Big Dipper, and then you see the Little Dipper directly above it, and connected to that is the North Star, and then you look off to the right, you're going to see Cassiopeia, the W in the sky. And basically we use a kind of a trade secret where we don't really let anybody see what we're doing. It's kind of like walking out your back door. It's depending on the size of the ceiling. Some people have a really small ceiling, and you don't want to make it, if you try and fit all the stars into a really small ceiling, then it's not going to look realistic. The constellations will be too small. So it's kind of like when you step out on your porch, depending on what the sky is to you, it's kind of like that. It's depending on what angle you go and you look at. A lot of times I like to put the Big Dipper kind of right in the middle because people are real familiar with that, and then they can kind of go off of that and see where the stars are in the sky. And it's a photophosphorus paint that is basically a glow-in-the-dark paint. And what we do is we do it in a three-dimensional way, so that some of the stars will be so small that when you actually look at them, you're not going to be able to see it. But if you look just to the side of it, it'll actually come back. And then that gives a twinkling effect. And then we also do the shooting stars and Milky Way, and as much of a 3D effect as you can get is what we're really going for, is to make it as realistic as possible, so it's not something like when you were a kid and you're putting stickers up on your ceiling. It's nothing like that. It's the neat thing about it is the oohs and ahs that you get from people when you turn the lights off, because they're not really expecting it to look realistic. The great thing about it is the paint is invisible, so when the lights are on, it doesn't mess with any of your decor. I go up and I'll do like one certain constellation and do the stars around that, and come back down and make sure that it looks realistic. And as long as you don't paint your ceiling, it'll be there for 20 years. And when you light it up, if you charge it long enough, which only takes about 10-15 minutes, if you've got the right kind of light, if you have good sunlight coming in, it'll stay lit for up to 25 hours. A couple of the things that we do is we'll actually bring the stars down. I'll actually come off the ceiling and start coming down the walls, and we'll do like an invisible mountain scene where we bring the stars down to what would be the mountain caps, and we fill it in from there, so it's actually like you're actually laying out in a meadow and surrounded by the mountains, but you're actually seeing the stars. And then we've also got what's called the deep space fantasy, which the kids like, where I'll bring them all the way down all the walls, to where you actually feel like you're floating in space. If your husband asked you to marry you on a certain date, you could actually go find that date and find that nighttime sky and put that sky on your ceiling. I'm also getting into a lot of the Bob Ross paintings that I've done. I've started taking those and turning them into just a daytime painting, and I've put the stars all over those and hidden the stars in the clouds, so as it's hanging on your wall, you don't see the stars, but then when you turn your lights off, then it's like the stars are coming out over the mountains, and that's kind of a neat one. And the cost can vary anywhere from $3.99 a square foot up to like $6.99 a square foot, depending on the theme that we do. So we try to keep it pretty reasonable, and we'd also like to do like getting into doing like hospice for our hospitals, or nobody wants to just lay there and look at a blank ceiling, and it just kind of adds a little something. If I live up in the mountains, up on top of a mountain, and I go out stargazing all the time, and it just seemed right.